Alright, and welcome for this video series. I decided to turn into videos that was originally a string of Instagram posts and imager photos, and somebody recommended I make this into a video. So what I'm going to do here is every day I'm going to do a different video on each one of these audio effects that are stock on Ableton. So what we're going to do today is we're going to start with Reverb. And what we have here is a stock Reverb on just a normal operator. You can hear the difference. It adds a very distinguishable reverberation. So the leftmost panel here on the Reverb is called input processing, and this determines if the incoming signal has a high cut or low cut filter applied to it. You can hear the difference here. The x-axis controls the frequency. You can see right here by dragging the frequency up and down, it affects the frequency that it affects for the low cut and in this case the high cut. And the y-axis controls the bandwidth, or how wide it is. Almost turns into a filter there. A natural sounding pre-delay here is between down here at the bottom is now for this determines the amount of time that passes before the first reverb can be heard. So if we turn this all the way up, a natural sounding pre-delay is between 1 millisecond and about 25 milliseconds. So right around here. And then you can adjust the dry wet to hear the difference. The next section here to the right of that is called early reflections, and this is the first reverb echoes that are heard on the output signal before the diffuse tail is heard, which is controlled by these settings over here. To hear how this applies, you can start by dragging this down on the bottom left. Set that to 50. And then drag it all to the top. The shape determines the shape of the early reflections and the amount of early reflections plus the diffuse tail. Shorter shape produces a tighter reflection and tail, while larger values space them apart more. It's subtle, but you can definitely hear the difference there. The global quality here determines the impact of your CPU. This is pretty much indistinguishable at this phase with these newer CPUs, but if you want the best effect, always set this to high. Size determines the size of the room the reverb is occurring in, so a higher value. It feels like the walls are tighter. Larger values produce more shifting of a sound. The smaller values are more metallic. Larger values produce a shifting reverb. The stereo encoder forces a mono reverb all the way down. And then when you turn it all the way up, changing the size makes this more apparent. The diffusion network, which is the next one over here, controls the tail of the effect after all the echoes have already started. The high and low right here and here, toggles that control the high and low toggles control the delay of the effect due to room, objects within the room, etc. for a higher frequency. These control the frequency. The low shelf provides a thinner decay right here. You can kind of hear that it rounds out more of a low end without it. And when it's on, there's definitely very little low end in the reverb. It's hard for me to tell the difference or how exactly this is applying the effect, but perhaps I don't fully understand what it's doing, but you can hear it a little bit better if you have some bass in your speakers or headphones. Freeze will hold the effect until disabled, so this comes in useful if used with automation. You can easily hear this chorus adds motion to the tail, so where it's going. It's almost like an echo applied. Designated scale further control the shape. So these two knobs shape the reverb. And then, of course, writing what is the amount of the effect that comes through. And over here in the dry wet section, the reflect blends their early reflections, and the diffuse blends the diffusion network. So these two knobs control these two. The mixing of this and of the reflections. You hear there's no tail there. With full tail, or a 6 decibel boost. And this is with reflections. Makes it sound more warmer. And that's about it for reverb. It's a little bit long, but maybe the next video I'll try to shorten quite a bit.